This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. Super Bowl over. Hope you won money. I got $16 and change for being correct. But if you are a fan of episodes where we both sip Celsius, you're in luck. This is going to be a big one. Super Bowl Sunday. The Monday should be a holiday. Oh, well, at least there are no holidays coming up anytime soon on the calendar. Oh, wait, there's one next week. Forget presidents. Give us a day off for quarterbacks. That's an obvious one. But for now, we're going to be talking about pitchers and catchers reporting and the questions that still linger ahead of that key date. The Yankees will be at camp later this week. Or at least some of them will be, or at least it's going to feel like the whole roster is, because that's how many catchers they currently have on the 40-man roster. New York's pitchers and catchers report this week. They're still after Dylan Cease, reportedly. We'll talk about that. Do we have roles available for some of the prospects who knocked on the door and broke it down late last year? And does this outfield alignment feel comfortable enough? Plus, an old friend goes to the Red Sox. We'll break it all down live on this show. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Please drop us a 5-star review. If you haven't yet, we'd welcome it. Or just drop us a like and subscribe right here on the YouTube channel. We want to see you here. We want to see you on the audio feed as well. So drop us a line wherever to let us know you're around. And if you haven't hit join yet on the YouTube channel, become a member. You get access to the Discord server, which we are trying to build up before the season begins. So reach out if you have any questions about that. But for now, we're here doing a live show like we always are every Monday, Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern. And joining me as per usual is Thomas Carannante with a promo code offer for the viewers.
What's up, everybody? Hope you cashed in on this before the Super Bowl, because we were telling you to take the Chiefs the whole time, and you could have done it with some free money. Yankees fans, thanks for tuning in. Haters, you're welcome as well. Come on. DraftKings is still offering a fantastic sign-up bonus for new users. You can place a $5 bet on anything and instantly claim $200 in bonus bets. On top of that, you'll be rewarded with a separate no-sweat single-game parlay every single day when you opt in. The best part is that you will receive both of these rewards even if the bet loses. Beauty. Could have done it earlier in the week with some BS NHL game. Got the $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl. Said Patrick Mahomes, take me to the promised land. $400. Done. Boom. When you join as a first-time user, punch in our code YANKSGOYARD to claim this offer. Again, it is YANKSGOYARD. And you will not only get these great bonuses, but you'll also directly be supporting the podcast, Adam and Thomas, YanksYard.com, everything you love about us. Seems like a pretty good deal. We like having fun. I'm sure you guys like having fun, so let's keep the party going. So if you're considering signing up for DraftKings as a first-time user, please make sure to use that code YANKSGOYARD, and that will maximize your first bets and your parlays. No better way to do it. This is the best way to do it. I've been gambling for a long time. Never had these offers. No one ever approached me with free bonus bets. Time to cash in, folks. This offer is only available, once again, to new customers who are 21 and older and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. Big win for the Swifties, baby, including myself. I'm a big Swiftie.
Your high school bookie never give you free bonus bets?
Never got free bonus bets.
That intimidating man who used to show up to the halls of your high school was never like, hey, and by the way, feeling generous today. Get some free bonus bets if you fuck up.
Dishing out Monopoly money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is this? Can I use this? I don't know. Don't come to me crying. Go to a store. Yeah, good for the Swifties. We had some Swifties at our house for the Super Bowl yesterday.
Oh,
they're into it. We were into it. Why not? Great. I mean, I don't know why we need to even who's complaining about a Super Bowl that ended on a walk-off touchdown with seconds remaining in overtime?
Come on.
Never happened before. It's one of the most incredible second halves and overtimes of a Super Bowl ever. Although I will say I had a crazy moment yesterday where when we were approaching overtime, not quite, I think it was when it was 1916, I confidently was like, this is going to be the first Super Bowl to ever go into overtime. And everybody just agreed. And then,
we forgot about the most legendary one.
40 minutes later, I was like, you know what, guys? Patriots, Falcons went in overtime. And another person at the party was like, yeah, I thought you were kidding. But nobody else caught it. Everybody else just like, oh, cool. Yeah, I guess. I guess I both remember every second of that Super Bowl, Patriots Falcons, and blocked it out 100%. I just have no idea.
Yeah, I was going back through my Super Bowl history, and I have lost 2 Super Bowls since I started betting. That was one of them. The other one was Chiefs Bucks. I went in on the Chiefs because I was fully against Brady that year, especially after all that Patriots shit. And I was like, they can't do this. They can't possibly do this. And the Chiefs had their lineman out that day for the Super Bowl, so you knew you were putting your money in a precarious spot. But I couldn't bet on Brady again. I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I will not count that Falcons Patriots Super Bowl as a loss, especially because I had Falcons +6. They lost the game by 6 in overtime after leading by 25.
Yeah.
Loss. Simply not a loss.
No. Kyle Shanahan, you're up. You again, buddy. Stop doing it. Well, that's enough for that. We all enjoyed the Super Bowl, but as soon as the clock struck end of OT, it became baseball season, unless you're an NFL draft freak, in which case, why are you on the Yankees Go Yard podcast? So we're here to talk pitchers and catchers, spring training, and the questions we still have before the Yankees touch down in Tampa. Some guys are already there. Nestor Cortez, Carlos Rodon, already in town. It's objectively, we've been over this, a very good Yankees team and roster. On paper, there is a reason that projections like this team to win the East, to win 93, 94, 95, 96 games, to have the 4th best or so World Series odds in the game. 2 parts of that always get me. Obviously, the Yankees have built up a lot of WAR. They have not built up an impenetrable amount of depth. They always have injury issues, and right now they have a 5-man rotation of people you're comfortable with, but not really beyond that, which makes it difficult to acquire a bona fide starting pitcher like a number 2 or 3 right now because you have 5 starters who have to start. Once somebody gets injured, obviously there will be a role for an addition, but it's way easier to add like a 6th depth starter, like a Frankie Montas, we thought, than it is to add a blockbuster name in trade right now. Because if you add a 6th starter who's a swingman, who's got experience, who's like, say you added Spencer Turnbull or Michael Lorenzen, who's still available, then you could be like, yeah, we're adding starters. We're adding potential ammo. They can go to the bullpen and they can do whatever they're going to do. But if you add like a bona fide, if you make a blockbuster trade right now, the rotation is quote unquote full. Same with a blockbuster Blake Snell signing. So that's an issue. And then the other thing, you're projected at the 4th best World Series odds. I remember when we lived in a society where that wasn't good for the Yankees, where they were supposed to have the number 1 best World Series odds because you want to win the World Series. So top 4, not bad. But again, every year they're projected to lose to the Astros in the playoffs. And then every year they do. And then everyone's like, oh, they met their projections. And it's like, yeah, but that sucked. That fate sucked. Finishing second in the AL to the Astros was a nightmare. So good for the projections, but I think the number 1 lingering question is about that rotation because we heard over the weekend they're still in the Dylan Cease mix. They're still talking to the White Sox for Cease. Bob Nightingale reported this. The price obviously remains prohibitive there. And Cease took a big step back in stuff between 2022 and 2023. All of Blake Snell's walk issues without the Cy Youngs. So I guess 2-part question for me. How interested in Cease how interested in even maintaining this conversation are you right now, considering I still think you could wait till the deadline on something like this and see how it shakes out. But B, how would you even shove someone into this rotation? Because if you were going to do that, if you were going to get a Blake Snell in addition to Stroman, don't you have to have traded Clark Schmidt at some point and filled that back end role with Lorenzen, Turnbull types, experienced 6th starters? So you could say we have big league depth. But now you've got a guy who has to be in the rotation in the number 5 spot right now. And someone's going to get hurt, and they will have room for somebody to fill in. But that somebody right now is going to be a rookie or a random like Cody Poteet.
Yeah. Roberto wants to trade Spencer Jones for Dylan Cease. I don't agree. I also would not cause an uproar if that happened. Trades are trades. If you're getting better now and sacrificing the future and have enough to back up sacrificing the future, then sure. I am just of the belief that I think there's enough right now to get through the first few months of the season and then to reassess at the trade deadline. And then if you have to overpay at the trade deadline, you overpay at the trade deadline. That's where I'm at mentally. I think that the opportunity passed with Corbin Burns. That was the one. If you were going to trade Spencer Jones, I think that was the deal to do it. I don't agree with doing it because, once again, that is more so of a cornerstone piece for 1 year of an ace who's probably not going to re-sign with you because his agent is Scott Boras. And as for Dylan Cease, one really good year, everything else kind of up in the air. I understand he's got 2 years of control, but that doesn't really mean anything to me if he's not on his A game. If he was coming off his 2022 season last year, then I'd say, sure, let's just do this and get it over with and fast forward to opening day and let's get on with it. But being that the Yankees have enough bodies right now, we have a bunch of young guys that we want to see, right? So we have Will Warren, who we keep talking about. I don't know when he's going to arrive, but he's there. We got Clayton Beater, who we keep talking about and who seems to be getting closer and closer. We have Luis Heel coming off injury. We have the Oendries Gomez working his way up the ranks. And like you said, Cody Poteet, Cody Morris, other guys that have joined the mix. Chase Hampton. There are options. And again, we have to see what we have out of the young options. And there is enough in terms of veterans. You got Garrett Cole. You got Carlos Rodon. You got Nestor Cortez. You have Marcus Stroman. And you have Clark Schmidt. That's a full rotation to get you through the first few months of the season to see where your team stands. And even if the team is doing well and has enough bodies, a blockbuster addition still wouldn't be out of the question. So I wouldn't be worried about Yogo. It really does crack me up. Yeah. Oendries Gomez's nickname is Yogo. I know we talked about it last episode, but it's still funny.
He threw 3 innings last year or something like that, and he's got a nickname, so now we're attached to him.
It's crazy. So the Yankees, I fully believe they will remain active, and they will see what's going on if any of these trade markets change. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes with Cease. Maybe the asking price is slowly softening. They're realizing that they're not going to be able to get the package that they once dreamed of because of the perceived value in return that the Brewers got for Corbin Burns, which I think the baseball world has largely deemed insufficient. Mm-hmm. Time will tell. We will see. And I understand that there might be different analysis there because of the Orioles' talent scouting as of the last few years. It's been pretty superior. But, you know, from an actual valuation standpoint, if you're trying to pry Spencer Jones plus more out of the Yankees, there's no way you're going to convince anybody that DL Hall, Joey Ortiz, and a fake first-round pick is equivalent to that. It's simply not. But yeah, so either way, the rotation quote is full. We have 5 starters going into opening day, and we're going to be able to make it. And we need to see what we have in Carlos Rodon, Nestor Cortez getting a full workload. We need to see how Clark Schmidt is going to adapt after career high in innings. We need to see how Marcus Stroman's going to adapt to the New York spotlight. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but you just simply never know. And then mixing these other guys in, whether it's going with a 6-man rotation here and there, whether it's a couple of long relief outings, these all need to happen for the Yankees to fully flesh out the roster. We don't need to keep adding bodies here at this point. It's not essential. It's a luxury, again, which would be nice, but we don't need to be banging down people's doors to demand trade targets at this point. Like I said, I guess I've drank the Kool-Aid and I'm willing to go into this year with the roster as is. So I'm going to stand by that.
I mean, this is the number one logical debate I keep having with friends, and this is why this is the number one burning question for me entering pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. Because, say what you will, hey, maybe Clark's stuff plays up in the bullpen, even though I didn't really trust him in bullpen scenarios in 2022 when we had him. Maybe Nestor's a long reliever. We don't know that yet. He's an all-star. Last time we saw him in a full season, he was regularly going 6-7 innings. He just couldn't sustain last year because of the shoulder issue. But I have friends reaching out saying, hey, the Yankees' Achilles heel has been pitching for too long. We need Blake Snell. We need Corbin Burns. We need a big name like this. And look, it's true. I would love if this rotation were fronted by Garrett Cole and a sure thing rather than Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. But you can't reconcile that need with the fact it's tough to reconcile that need with the fact that the rotation is full. And B, if Carlos Rodon isn't good again, then this Yankees team will fail to reach its ceiling. But
Yeah.
right now, he's your number 2 because they paid him. He has to be their number 2 or number 3. If he is completely ineffective like last year and throws 45 innings, then guess what? The Yankees are in trouble. But for now, they're entering year 2 of a 6-year deal with someone who was an ace-like pitcher in 2021 and 2022 and was a complete dumpster fire in 2023. So it's tough to say because what we saw from Rodon was a disaster.
Okay.
And if that happens again, then they are in trouble for sure. But you're in a position right now where you have to roll the dice with him. You can't say, hey, we're bailing on him after year 1. Like, that does not happen in MLB. And I'd love if look, I don't want to do that either because I want to see Carlos Rodon come in and succeed. But that's kind of the thing that I hear you if you're telling me, like, hey, we don't have enough in the rotation. Remember how bad Rodon was last year? He's a dud. Like, if you're telling me that, I get it.
Yeah.
Because we watched it and he was a dud. But you can't upgrade on him yet. And they did their best. They tried to put Snell in the rotation, and they ended up with Stroman because they offered Snell 150, and Snell said it's got to start with a 200 and maybe even 270 million. And lo and behold, he's still here. I'm scared of Rodon, and the comments are saying, he's a scary injury history. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to ride with him for now. And if he's dreadful in year 2 and there are 4 years left, then we got to figure that out. Then we got to upgrade that spot. Then he's got to enter next year competing for a 4th or 5th starter role. And the Yankees have to have more sure things in that rotation. And then the Yankees might have to trade Clark. You got to trade Clark Schmidt at some point.
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't maybe float Schmidt and Pereira and a DSL prospect for Burns. Like, Pereira is a Baseball America top 100 prospect with the 2nd highest exit velocity in that top 100 behind Spencer Jones. Oswald Peraza was not involved in that trade and would theoretically fill the middle infield spot Joey Ortiz occupied in that deal. Although, yes, I know, not as good a prospect. Ortiz is in the top 100 on Pipeline, and he's not in Baseball America, and reports are conflicted. But Joey Ortiz, if they need an infielder, here's Oswald Peraza, former top 100 guy. If they want a boom power outfielder and they can't have Spencer Jones, here's Pereira. And then we can't trade him that first-round pick. How about a Carlos LaGrange type or even Henry Lalande, who everyone agrees might be a top 100 prospect by the end of the year? That's a relatively large offer, even though Peraza and Pereira are becoming Andujar and Frazier, and there's nothing we can do about it just because we're trying to get rid of them and we can't. I wonder why there wasn't a match there with Pereira and then an upgraded second prospect. Even Pereira and Chase Hampton. I don't want to give up Chase Hampton, but if that would have gotten the job done and you keep Spencer Jones out of it, I probably do that. And I probably just bite my tongue and say, oh, well, Brewers got a good one. The same way I said, Padres got a good one in Drew Thorpe. Like, I would have Juan Soto and Corbin Burns in that scenario, so I wouldn't be as upset.
Yeah. I'm wondering a lot of things with how those trade talks went down. And it's unfortunate that I guess maybe Pereira is being devalued because of his shitty month at the plate when he came up. And
Fangraphs, by the way, Baseball America is high on him. Pipeline is what he's slipping down. That Fangraphs has him at 17 in the Yankee system right now. So analysts and experts are very split on whether he is still a top 100 name in the game with top tier exit velocity, like maybe not only one of the top 100 guys, but one of the best hitters in the top 100 versus sliding down even the internal team ranking. So now is probably the time to trade this person before everybody figures it out one way or the other.
Yeah. Same goes for Peraza. Like, the tools are there. We've seen the flashes of it, but the consistency isn't, and that's not his fault because he largely hasn't gotten the opportunity to do so. But you've seen the flashes with the glove. You've seen the power at the major league level. Like, I don't know how he wasn't an appealing trade candidate. Or on the flip side, maybe the Yankees are hanging on to him because they want him and they feel like that will be the true deepening bench move that they need to make these last 3 years of bench players go away in our memory because they were the shittiest bench players you could ever imagine. So yeah, I have many questions, but nonetheless, it's good to see the comments. We have no choice but to have faith in Rodon. I guess we at least need to go into the season knowing that he's going to be a huge missing piece to this puzzle. And we should support him. We should support the guy. Injuries derailed the beginning of the season for him. It's hard to get on track like that. Then he got interrupted again. So yes, in practice, everything that happened last year was dud worthy, but give the man a clean slate, give him a chance to get through a full season without that many interruptions. And don't forget, guys, last year's Yankees team was dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
To be a newcomer to come and arrive in this situation with all the expectations heaped on you from signing the contract to becoming, Garrett Cole's right-hand man, whatever you want to call it, like that's not easy either. So he clearly inherited, he probably inherited some of the Yankees disease that was going around last year that affected everybody's play. So yeah, let's have a little bit of faith here, see how it plays out, and then we'll start holding people accountable at the trade deadline if and when Brian Cashman doesn't make the necessary moves. But speaking of trades, something does need to happen because, again, we talked last episode, there are 5 catchers on the 40-man. That is untenable. It makes no sense. It keeps the Yankees from bolstering depth at other areas that are much more necessary. So I know we had our possibility rankings of who might go, but when is this going to happen? This has to happen soon, right?
There's not even that much more to say about this. Like there's not enough room in the locker room for pitchers and catchers to report right now. They're going up to the catchers being like, can one of you change in a trailer outside? Because we actually don't have 5 lockers for all the roster catchers. And it trickles down to AAA. I understand if you like Carlos Narvaez. I do. He was great last spring, filled in admirably when Trevino went down, and earned himself a 40-man spot, but wasn't used last year at all. Ben Rortvedt, probably your starting catcher at AAA. Agustin Ramirez, if you believe in the exit velo, and they do, he's your starting catcher at AA. Luis Torrens was signed to split reps at AAA. Where does Narvaez go? So you can talk all you want about, hey, Rortvedt's got major league experience. Maybe we can spin him off just for some loose cash or whatever. Or, hey, Narvaez has potential. Maybe he's going to net us something, whereas Rortvedt just nets us some salary relief and a free roster spot. Narvaez had a 760 OPS last year in 84 games. It's Scranton, 16 games at AA Somerset. It's all he played, 801 OPS. Sending him back down to Somerset for his age 25 season would be completely counterproductive and would take away at-bats from Agustin Ramirez. So either Rortvedt or Narvaez, figure out what you're going to do because we can't go much longer here. And Luis Torrens on the minor league deal complicates all of this. There just isn't enough room for all these bodies. Forget about the 40-man roster. All these real human men have to exist at the minor league level at AAA. Like, you want to convert Torrens to a first baseman? Ben Rice has to play first base at AAA. Like, you're running out of spots for these guys. So in the same way that we'll talk about the outfield alignment in a little bit, we'll talk about the big league bench, but 5 catchers on the 40-man is egregious. Even if you love all of them, you backed yourself into a corner here, and we're clock's ticking. It's February. These guys got to go to camp now. So figure it out.
Get to camp, figure it out. We got to get on and move. And it's inconsiderate to them. They should know where their life stands heading into spring training this close. I know this offseason has been wacky because of the delay. I mean, look, we still have high-profile free agents out there that I think we're forgetting about more and more.
Because everybody still thinks Jordan Montgomery's on the Rangers and Bellinger's on the Cubs. Not yet, and no one's really having any conversations. What I've heard is that not only have these people not signed, but there's precious little movement. Rob Bradford said that Montgomery and the Rangers haven't even exchanged numbers these past couple of weeks because the Rangers were waiting for the TV deal to come down. They didn't think it would be that fruitful, and it wasn't. So now they're still far apart, and nothing is changing.
It's crazy. I don't understand. But either way, you're leaving these guys' careers in limbo, and pitchers and catchers reporting is an important part of spring training. So yeah, it might be best to figure it out. Thanks, guys. It is funny to think about, though, like them having catchers like share a locker for team bonding upon arriving in spring training because there's not enough space. It's like, hey, Narvaez and Ramirez, why don't you guys, swap jock straps, see what it's like, get to know each other a little bit more.
We're going to play get to know you games. Why? Just out of necessity. There's no room in here. Why don't you guys just distract yourselves playing some games? Like when you used to have interns, you're like, just do whatever. I don't know. Too many of you.
And you want to talk about we have an excess of catchers, which is great. And now we have an excess in, in my opinion, of guys who don't really have roles right now.
Excess of dudes.
Yeah, just dudes sitting around that don't have roles. We mentioned at the top Oswald Peraza and Everson Pereira, but I think we have to talk about Oswaldo Cabrera too. What is he going to be doing? What are these three guys going to be doing? The Yankees acquired Trent Grisham as well this offseason. Don't forget about that. You got Verdugo in the mix. You got Soto. You got Judge. Aaron Boone claims that Giancarlo Stanton's going to be playing outfield.
Nope.
So what do you got there?
In an effort to injure him early to get him off the depth chart? Possible. Yeah, sabotage mission? Could be.
So we already have 5 outfielders right there. So now you're wondering what Pereira's role is. You got the infield, Anthony Volpe, Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMahieu. So I think that there is very much a clear spot for Peraza to jump in and fill in where he needs to. But I don't know what that means for Cabrera, because Cabrera clearly, at least just judging based on what's happening here, that would make him more of a candidate for the infield because there are too many outfielders. If they have 5 outfielders, I'm prioritizing playing Trent Grisham over Oswaldo Cabrera, especially because he could play center field. You already know that Verdugo, Judge, and Soto are getting that priority as well. I guess the only time he would come in handy is if somebody needs a day off and Stanton is locked into the DH spot, sure. But I would like some clarity here. One of them, give me clarity on one of them. I guess Peraza has the clearest fate because they definitely have faith in him. They're definitely going to need more infield reps because I would suspect that DJ LeMahieu is not going to be fully healthy and on his feet, at least on both sides of the ball, every single day. I would actually bet on Torres and Volpe playing an overwhelming majority of the games in the field. Volpe already did it, and we saw that he got that experience. And though I think that might have affected some of the play in his rookie season because that was the most exposure he has gotten playing at the professional level, there's no reason for him to not play that much this year. Torres in a contract year, he's going to have to be kicking ass regardless, whether it's for himself or whether it's for the Yankees. So I don't know what this infield alignment is going to look like with Peraza in the mix, but it's safe to assume that he'll spell Torres and Volpe if there is a need for either of them to be off their feet that day. And I see him playing a lot of third base, but otherwise Cabrera and Pereira, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I hate to be the absolute worst, but I'm going to need to see more from Volpe this year or I'll scream.
Sure.
The more I think about his season last year, the angrier I get. Just the fact that we had the opportunity to have this homegrown shortstop superstar from the jump, most popular rookie in baseball, face of the franchise in waiting type season. And obviously those expectations are absurdly high and so weighted. And you can't really walk into a year and be like, this has to be the most special rookie shortstop since Derek Jeter, or else I'm going to have steam coming out of my ears. But he didn't have to do that. He just had to not have a 280 OBP, a disqualifyingly low OBP, not go 3 weeks of empty at-bats on end repeatedly, which happened both before and after he figured it out, right? So there is a chance that Volpe takes a huge leap this year, and he kind of has to, because the version of Volpe we saw last year really hurt me to watch. And like we said, there were times when the Yankee season was so over. The only things that went right last year were Garrett Cole and Jason Dominguez for 1 week before he had Tommy John surgery. Those are the only things that went definitively right. So there were portions of the season where they were just done for, where all I was doing was watching the games I could watch, skipping the games I had to skip, and checking the box score to see if Volpe got on base. He not even got a hit, got on base. And if he was like 0 for 2 with 2 walks, I'd be like, all right, okay, all right. Numbers aren't going down, I guess. They need more from him, and there is at least a chance, though, that Peraza is the slick fielding, slightly upgraded defensively, slightly downgraded offensively version of Volpe that is able to seamlessly replace Gleyber after he departs following a contract year. They could absolutely roll with Peraza at second, Volpe at short next year, or Volpe at second, Peraza at short. But that does involve a year where Peraza enters this spring as maybe a utility infield option, maybe the third baseman in waiting, maybe someone who fills in for DJ LeMahieu when he goes down, but probably a cemented bench piece, someone who is not getting that many starts. And you kind of have to look him in the eyes and say, what do you think? Is that okay? Will you be able to continue developing, continue to work hard as you have to work without a starting role at the big league level and with only a guarantee of playing 65, 70 games and getting 8 at-bats a week if everybody stays intact? Now, we know they won't, but they're going to have to. They can't send him back to AAA. Again, he is still young, but what does starting at AAA do for Oswald Peraza? That is a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
That's why Pereira is probably going to have to start at AAA because the bench is going to be 4 guys, backup catcher, Austin Wells or Trevino, whoever's on the bench, Grisham, some sort of utility guy, and Peraza. So it's probably Cabrera and Peraza, which is not that purposeful a bench. I would rather see, like in the comments, someone like Gio Urshela in there. But they are going to carry enough pitchers. They have an overload of pitchers. They are probably going to carry 4 bench guys at least early in the year while the pitchers are still getting their arms up to speed. And are you willing for one of those bench guys to be somebody who should theoretically be a starter for your team, but definitely will not get the opportunity unless somebody goes down or it is 2025? It's a tough year for Peraza. And so they're going to need to be honest with themselves and say, we're going to need to figure out a way to further his development while keeping him on the pine by design, which is a tough spot.
Pine by design, baby. That's what we're going to do. Do we all do live games? Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments here. We'll try. We'll do some.
We're going to be experimenting this year. Yeah. I mean, it might be post game. We'll see. Like we're not going to be live for every single game, but yes, we will be around. We'll
do live for the games when the bench is most involved, and then we'll have conversations like this. Is that sufficient? Yeah. DJ LeMahieu's health is going to hinge on a lot of things this season. Judge wants him to bat leadoff. We heard that. I think Boone said something about it too. So yeah, I don't know. Penciling him into the leadoff spot seems insane to me. I haven't seen him hit well in 2 years. Maybe the team feels differently and they still have confidence in him, but yeah, they're going to have to figure that out. Anyway, speaking of Judge, what's the Yankees outfield alignment going to look like? Probably a very important thing that we're going to have to think about leading up to opening day. Juan Soto's in the mix. What's he at? Left field, Verdugo and right, or either you flip those. What did Verdugo? Verdugo had a really good season last year in right field.
He did. So and I still don't think they intend to use him there. Like he did, and I still think he's going to play left.
Because Soto's more comfortable in right. That's correct.
Yep, and Judge in center, which means double downgrades. And I had somebody talking to me about this morning. An Instagram DM. Shout out to my DMs. Please slide in there if you want to talk about the Yankees outfield alignment.
Yep.
But look, Juan Soto is Juan Soto. You upgrade when you can. But it does mean that they are weaker in right with Soto over Judge and weaker in center with Judge over Bader. Now, again, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are those 2 people. So you take the defensive downgrade if it means those are the 2 people you get to put in your lineup. Like, I'll accept it. I will take Judge. Sue me. I will take Judge in center, Soto in right over Kiermaier in center, Judge in right.
Yeah.
Or Kiermaier in center, Billy McKinney in right. But it is different. It's less than ideal, and the defense does take a step back.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some kinks there that need to be worked out, but I like Judge in center. He covers a lot of ground. Is it a downgrade from Harrison Bader? I guess you could say that. Bader's a natural center fielder. It's where he's played his entire career, but did we feel uncomfortable when Judge was in center field at all over the last couple of years? Not at all. I was actually very confident with him out there. He covers a ton of ground. It's actually even better because I think that at that point, the left fielder and the right fielder know that they are not going after balls because Judge, A, is the captain, and B, is very large, and C would be playing center field, which gives him priority over whatever he wants to call or go after. So I think that actually helps with the communication aspect of it. We've seen many Harrison Bader, near collisions or full collisions with corner outfielders. And then again, we also have to remember there will probably be a lot less Oswaldo Cabrera out there, like we just talked about. There will be no Isaiah Kiner-Falefa out there. There will be no Jake Bauers out there. So there's going to be full-on actual outfielders in the outfield. So I'm not really concerned with this alignment. I just want to know what's going to happen. And I also think it's important to put players where they're comfortable because that's been a lot of the issue over the last few years. Playing guys out of position, having them play where they're not, forget about playing them out of position, playing them out of position after them saying, I'm not comfortable playing this position. That makes it even worse to me. Like, if you're going to play guys out of position, fine. There needs to be an agreement there. But, like, we saw the discomfort with Joey Gallo. We saw the discomfort with various pitchers being in different roles. I know Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was down to do kind of anything, but he wasn't comfortable in left field or center field. You saw him. Never played there in his life. So
and
now
he won't, spoiler alert, he will not play there in Toronto this year. Going out on a limb there. He's not gonna do that again.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be smarter about that.
They have outfielders. They don't have any need to. They'll the first day one. They'll be like, remember when you were in the outfield last year for no reason? What the fuck was that? We're not doing that.
It's like, oh yeah, my old manager, that organization, truly fucking dumb.
Yeah, we signed you so that you wouldn't have to do that again. Well, I thank you guys. Okay, great. Go out there, play third. You're a Gold Glove third baseman. Go play third.
Looking at the Verdugo situation, seems to me he's much more comfortable in right field. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there that big of a difference between Juan Soto and left or right? I know he might be more comfortable in right, but I don't think he's that good of a defender where you're like, oh no, he's clearly, superior at this position, or, he can effectively and no problem hold down the fort at both. It's like, I think at this point, if you're moving Judge to center and you're waiting for Dominguez to come back or whatever the plan is, there needs to be a definite alignment with who's comfortable playing where. And is that a trade? Is the outfield situation going to be a trade-off for batting Soto second, where he doesn't want to bat? Or you can't make him unhappy on both sides of the ball. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the deal is. Aaron Boone said Soto was open and amenable to batting second. Reports have suggested the opposite, so I literally don't know. And then for the outfield, like, I don't want him in a position that he's uncomfortable with defensively and in a spot in the lineup that he doesn't like hitting in. And then for Verdugo, he obviously is of the least priority out of the three that we're talking about here. But if he just had a stellar defensive year, like I actually, the Red Sox fans have been hot and cold on him. The one thing that I've heard about him is that he played a great right field last year
and really good arm strength.
Yeah. And the dimensions in right field at Fenway Park are much more difficult than they are in the Bronx. Even playing half his games in the Bronx is going to be a lot easier. I think at the my trade-off here would be maximize Verdugo defensively, because you already know what you're going to get out of Soto offensively, and a slight Soto defensive downgrade is not really going to matter. Whereas a Verdugo defensive downgrade might actually matter a lot, because he's shown apparently night and day. Then again, I guess here's the rebuttal where I'm talking myself into a pretzel. Playing left field at Fenway Park is incredibly fucking hard because that's stupid wall. Yeah. And that's not going to be at Yankee Stadium. So maybe the dimensions of playing in a more spacious left field will actually help Verdugo. I don't know. But either way, you have those factors, and then you have what's going on with Giancarlo Stanton. Is he actually going to be on his feet? How will they cycle those guys in? Who's going to be DHing? Because you don't have a true center. That it seems to me Judge is going to be playing a lot more outfield this year than before, because you cannot have an outfield of Stanton, Verdugo, and Soto with one of those guys. Well, Stanton's not playing center field. We know that. I'm 95% sure Soto will not be. So it'll be Verdugo in center or Trent Grisham in center. Yeah. So then at that point, you're either benching two good guys, or you're taking a good bat out of the line. I don't know what's going to happen, but I need more clarity on what Giancarlo Stanton's going to do, because locking him into the DH spot doesn't feel like the answer.
No, and again, I think they're probably just going to run him into the ground, and he gives them what he gives them, and then they don't see Stanton for a while. It's the sad reality of the situation. I can't really express. I'm shockingly excited to see competent outfielders in the lineup. I'm much more excited about the lineup than the defensive alignment. Like Soto, Grisham, Verdugo, such an upgrade on last year. I still haven't processed that Verdugo is on this team or in this lineup. I wish there was a different upgrade, but he's still an upgrade.
Yeah.
I'm still not happy that was the decision that was made, but there's no arguing that it's not an upgrade over Jake Bauers and Billy McKinney. That said, me saying I'm excited to watch this lineup in action is the easiest guarantee that Greg Allen is there on opening day. It's just unbelievably guaranteed that we see Greg Allen on opening day. So cool. Well, those are my questions. I don't know if you have any other storylines you're watching before this team reports to camp. We should be getting updates this week. We should be getting the fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty obvious. What's the bullpen hierarchy for innings 7, 8, 9?
Mm-hmm.
Clay Holmes. I don't know. After that, what do you got? You got an injured Jonathan Loaizaga that you're probably going to want to work back into the mix, even though he's undergoing some Michael King transformation, they're saying.
Your Michael King replacement, the guy who's never thrown 3 innings in his life, is all of a sudden going to be erasing 2 1/3 every other day.
Yeah, that's a problem for me. You got Scott Efros, who is not on track to start pitching by opening day, but that man was acquired 2 years ago to be anywhere between a 7th to 9th inning guy, based on his production with the Cubs, and I guess based on how the Yankees liked his pitch mix. You got Caleb Ferguson and Victor Gonzalez in the mix now, 2 left-handers. They, to me, seem like they're going to be more Swiss Army-ish. Like they can handle late innings, but they're going to be mostly handled matchup-wise. And then Tommy Kahnle, man. Love the guy. He was on foul territory last week. Probably should look into what he was talking about, a number of things. But, yeah, him and Ian Hamilton. Kahnle's a veteran option he's the longest tenured or the oldest bullpen member on this team with the most MLB experience. So, pending his health, I'd like to see where he ends up at and if he can get rid of his inheriting the runner issue that he had last year. Then you have Ian Hamilton, who had a really good first season with us, but that groin issue killed him at the end of the year. And I think we're wondering if that cameo for the first 3-4 months of the season was actually legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think for the most part, you look at these relievers who kind of get revamped or have a bit of a renaissance. And you have this honeymoon period where someone like Matt Blake figures out the pitch mix. New guy, you don't know what he's throwing because you never fucking seen him before. And now he's coming at you with a pitch mix that you were never expecting because you got no scouting report on him. But now there's a 3-4-month scouting report on him from other teams. What's that going to look like this year? Is he going to be as effective as he was? I don't know. But now you look at you think back to this offseason, right? The Yankees were reportedly in on Josh Hader. Who was the other bullpen guy available?
Neris,
they were in on, but I thought there was another big name.
Robert Stevenson.
No,
that's not. You don't call him a big name. Kimbrel,
no. The Yankees, no. If the Yankees were in on Kimbrel, I would have jumped off a cliff. But yeah, I think my Alexa's hearing me talk and now is repeating stuff back to me.
Oh, very cool. Thank you, Alexa. Maton, Ryan Brazier. I mean, the Yankees were connected to all these guys.
Yeah.
Wandy.
I guess Hader was the only major one.
He lapped the rest of the bullpen market. Like Neris got $12 million or whatever, and Hader got 95. Like he was the guy.
Okay. But yeah, either way, you look back and the Yankees were interested in Hader, and you're thinking, what did that mean? Were they actually interested in him? Were they waiting for the market to go down a little bit to see if they could get him cheaper? Or were they just use his leverage like they are every single year on every single big name free agent? But to me, I think there was a little bit of interest there. And they were treading lightly because the Aroldis Chapman contract kind of screwed them over for so many years. Regardless of how it performed in the regular season, the postseason stuff is real and it's bad and it cost this team a lot. But yeah, you look at this hierarchy and you don't really know because remember, Clay Holmes was not the closer all year last year. There were problems with his performance, and yeah, he came on and he managed to rediscover himself, but there's a lot of inconsistency issues in the back end of this bullpen and a lot of injury questions. So that's got to play itself out.
Yes, it certainly does. A lot of uncertainty. Is it weird that entering this season, for whatever reason, I know Juan Soto is in a contract year, and I know that we don't know what his future is beyond this year, but I'm not feeling that much pressure. I'm just feeling excitement to see what they have in store. Like, everyone has counted the Yankees out. The Yankees have Juan Soto, and they are projected to win the East according to objective metrics, but no one thinks that they're a favorite for the World Series. And most people don't believe those projections and say the Orioles are better, the Rays are better. So there's very little pressure here, but there is the potential to surprise. I'm just kind of excited to see who emerges and what this lineup looks like with Juan Soto, who, when he and Glaber were hanging out at the Caribbean Series this past week, I was just kind of reminded, like, oh yeah, that guy's on our team, and he's like really excited about being on our team, and like he's just hanging out with his teammates, and they're just like, when Juan Soto goes places now, he's going there as a Yankee.
Yeah,
and I think I also don't think it's sunk in yet for a lot of people that the Yankees didn't just add a new right fielder or an all-star or a lefty bat or a power bat. They added Juan Soto. Like, there is such a difference between adding Juan Soto and adding Jorge Soler and adding Adam Duvall. Like, there are other players who would have been helpful, like Alex Verdugo, helpful to the Yankees' cause. But there's nothing like adding Juan Soto. He's a top 5 player in the game of baseball. You don't need to overthink it.
Don't need to. Simply don't. I'm really loving the fact that he wants to be here. I'm also loving the fact that Stroman wants to be here. There is clear desire to be a New York Yankee, which I think has been a problem, which I think we all know, right? Has been a problem over the years. There's been a lot of questions about, is it worth it taking the contract in New York? Taxes are one thing. Who the fuck cares? You get taxed more and more anywhere you go, so it doesn't matter. But, is the money worth the unrelenting media, the overly critical fans, the pressure that comes with, essentially nothing. It's just being in a different setting, and it creates mental strain, and it affects your game. So I am very, at least, optimistic that there are guys who want to be here, and that there is a locker room core of players where, you have Garrett Cole, you have Aaron Judge, you have Stanton, who I think is a good locker room guy. I do too. Yeah. You have Anthony Rizzo. So there's a clear structure and hierarchy in place where I think you would think that they'll have to lay the law down at some point if there's any nonsense, or they'll be able to give the right advice to the right guys for whatever struggles might emerge. But I'm most excited about the fact that they want to be here. Because I feel like so many other things are like, they're like trial runs. It's like, oh, let's see how he does here. Because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if he really wants to be here. We got him and we figured it. Joey Gallo, perfect example. Hey, I'm a Yankee fan, but like a million reports coming out. Oh, he's probably not a good fit for New York. Okay, great. Why'd we do this then? Why are we doing this to ourselves? So yeah, no brainer. Get Juan Soto, put him in. Let's see what he could do. Really excited for that. Even Verdugo, like you said, am I thrilled with the addition? Not really, but yeah, Verdugo in the 7 hole, that makes all the fucking difference in the world, because whoever was in the 7 through 9 holes last year was not cutting it. I know Anthony Volpe was one of those guys, but he wasn't properly being protected down there in the lineup. And again, it was roster fodder taking up those last few spots. Mm-hmm. Injuries had something to do with it, but also the Yankees' preparation for that depth had a big impact on that. And what else? Big news over the weekend, folks. Lucas Litke. Yes. I think we all loved him.
I did.
You guys like him?
Yeah, in low leverage spots. I mean, not high leverage spots, but yeah.
I liked that he grew up a Yankees fan. I liked that he had barely pitched in MLB and managed to fight his way onto the opening day roster. I like that he managed to put together a very good body of work as a New York Yankee. And I also, sadly, as much as I liked him being here, supported the Yankees selling high on him. They got Caleb Durbin was one of the prospects they got in return from the Braves. He's now shooting. He had a great Arizona Fall League, shooting up the farm system rankings.
He'll be at spring training this year as a non-roster invitee, and I expect him to stick around for quite a while.
Okay. Look at that prediction. But yes, Lucas Litke signed with the Red Sox. There is belief that it is a minor league deal. But the Red Sox pitching staff, in case you guys haven't researched it, is bad. So I think Lucas Litke has an avenue to legitimately make that opening day roster. And it will be sad when he's bludgeoned by the Yankees if and when that time comes.
Yeah, here's my advice to anyone batting against Lucas Litke. It's the curveball. It's always the curveball. I mean, I had a good time. He really struggled last year in Atlanta. He, of course, especially in this climate, has to take a minor league deal. I feel like he has the same level of shot at making the Red Sox this year out of spring training that he had at making the Yankees out of spring training 3 years ago. when he looked great left on left and was able to make the roster out of nowhere. They had to shuffle players around, get him on the 40-man. And he would occasionally have outings where he could just erase 3 innings in a blowout, which is what you need. They did not have that last year, and it's supposed to be Luke Weaver this year, and hopefully it is. But of course, there were other games where he would come in a 1 or 2 run game and look like, a lefty specialist. The game had passed him by a little bit, floating curves in there, doesn't have the velocity to sneak it past guys, and all of a sudden things are going kind of off the rails. You don't want to see Lucas Litke in extra innings, but you're fine with Lucas Litke in a 10-4 game with 3 innings to eat in an important game 2 of an important series. So good ball player. Over under 4.5 innings for the big league Red Sox this year. You're going to go over, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think
I think I am too.
I'm going to go over. You look at this Red Sox team, and it's like they got relievers in the rotation. You got Kenley Jansen's roster spot up in the air. He might get traded. You're not going to convince me Chris Martin's going to stay there the entire year. The Red Sox are just simply not a contending team.
There are schlubs that were on the Red Sox last year who, like, you could barely even remember that they were on that team. Like, remember Chris Murphy? He's one of their top lefty pitching prospects. He ended up as the long man of the Red Sox bullpen last year, and he wasn't very good. If you asked me how many innings did Chris Murphy throw for the Red Sox, mostly mop-up duty and blowouts, I would have told you 21, 23. Turns out he threw 47 and 2/3 innings last year. I don't remember that at all. So if that's what the AAA shuttle arms in Boston's bullpen were throwing last year, Licky get to 20. Licky get to 25. He's going to go over that 4.5 inning threshold, I would say.
Yeah. The Red Sox will win more games than the Dandies. I assume we're the Dandies.
I guess we're the Dandies. That's a bummer.
No, they won't. Teddy.
They might. I don't think they will, but they might. You know what? If they do, I'm not on board with the Taylor Swift Chiefs conspiracy theories. Those were insane and peddled by fools. But if the Red Sox were to make an underdog run with a terrible comparatively roster in the 20th anniversary of 2004 with a Netflix documentary coming about 2004 and about the current roster, then I would call it a conspiracy. I would have to call Joe Biden and say, why did you do this to me? What's up with this?
Joe Biden with his laser eyes confirming the rigged Super Bowl.
Yes.
We'll do the same for the MLB season.
Joe Biden told the Niners, don't play defense on the last play of overtime. Just sort of run around and act like there was a whistle that never happened and leave Mecole Hardman uncovered.
Yeah. God. If the Yankees do that in a World Series, I'd be really pissed. They let that receiver just walk into the flat and hit a home run, walk off, 9th inning. It'd be devastating.
Uncle Ted, my man, a log jam in the outfield. Again, there was no one in the outfield last year, so the Yankees got insurance for the outfield. If you're gonna troll us, at least you got to pay attention to last year's
Troll us.
Adding too many outfielders is not going to be a problem for the New York Yankees this year, after what we had to sit through last year. There are some roster construction issues for sure, but none of them are too many outfielders. They're the right amount of outfielders, if anything.
Yeah. You have a top prospect. You have a top 100 prospect who's on the fringe right now. I would say that's admirable outfield.
Yeah. Oh, Jason Dominguez is coming back midseason. That sucks, said no one ever.
So yeah, that's it. What else we got? You want to talk Shane Biebs?
No, I think
maybe we'll save that for next time because I like where we are.
I like where we are, and we touched on Bieber a little bit today, at least in the discussion of is there room on the roster or not for another starter? And look, spoiler alert for Thursday's show, he might be my pick if we do need another starter, but we'll have to figure that out. I do think we're probably clogged right now. Let spring training sort itself out a little bit. And if somebody gets hurt in the first couple weeks of spring training, which always happens, maybe that's the time that the Guardians can gouge us for Bieber a little bit. And maybe that is the Everson Pereira trade location. But for now,
gouge me,
baby. Gouge me, Guardians. We will see you on Thursday, 2:00 Eastern, right back here. We thank everyone for joining us today. Nursing your Super Bowl hangover with us. I had to throw away so many wings Nobody wanted wings. Is that America going too woke? Did America decide they don't want wings anymore? That's for you to discuss. But I had to put a bunch of wings in the garbage can after having them for lunch. Good Super Bowl otherwise, though, even though there's a mini dynasty now. But I guess that makes Tom Brady look over his shoulder a little bit for the first time in a long time. So that's kind of fun. But even so, I don't want to waste any more years of my youth, my relative youth, watching the Chiefs win Super Bowls. I'd like to watch somebody else win a Super Bowl. That would feel really good. But for now, Thomas and I both made money on the Chiefs. Life could be worse. I am Adam Weinrib. That's my name. You can also find me at Adam Weinrib on Twitter. Somebody logged on to Twitter yesterday to talk about how my opinions are bad and I should go to sleep because I don't want to sign Trevor Bauer. So if you want to be like that guy and tell me to go to sleep at night, when I was planning to go to sleep, you can find me on Twitter. Marcus Stroman is not the king of fly balls, Uncle Ted. I think you should look up Marcus Stroman's ground ball.
Yeah.
I'm deeply confused by these trolls at this point in time. But Thomas Carannante, where can they find you? As Roberto is asking.
Roberto, come on down. I'm at Tommy's_takes. We are both at the official Yanks Go Yard Twitter account. That is at Yanks Go Yard FS. You can check out our bylines at yanksgoyard.com. We appreciate you guys reading. We got a lot of content popping off. Trying to inform you guys, keep you up to date, keep you thinking. A lot of off-season thinking here, especially with all these roster questions. A lot of players still remaining in free agency, suspected people on the trade market. You know how it goes. There's a lot of stuff, and we're not gonna overlook a single thing because you never know what can happen. So yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in and reading. Keep it up. You're helping us out big time. We hope you're having a good time. Until then, we'll talk to you again on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, live right here. Have a good rest of your middle week, as they say.
And I shouldn't have to sign off the podcast clapping back at Uncle Ted again, but Uncle Ted, man, Marcus Stroman in the 94th percentile in inducing ground balls last year.
Woo! He's testing us. It's good.
It's hard to induce both ground balls and fly balls at that high rate.
Ted?
So that's it. Ted, you are a realist. So you say. But it kind of sounds like he came in here just to savage us. And you got to bring up a slightly better point if you're going to savage this Yankees roster. Believe us, we watched last year. We know there's room for savaging on this team, but you got to come at us with the facts.
Yeah.
You just have to. Well, we'll see everybody on Thursday. Thanks for joining us for now. For Thomas Carannante, I'm Adam Weinrib. Take care.